Welcome to the movies, pal. You're from the neighborhood Master Chaos, back with you once again for another review. We are continuing our Cursed Collection saga, namely the Amityville Cursed Collection saga. Tonight's entry is the third and probably cheesiest one, and that is Amityville. Technically part 3, but technically, in reality, this sucker's part 6, and we're talking about Amityville, A New Generation, directed by John Merlowski. Right off the bat, this is the least Amityville of the movies so far. I say that only because it doesn't even take place in a house. It takes place in an artist's loft in somewhere in downtown Los Angeles. So if you can imagine one of those kind of warehouse-looking buildings where these artsy-fartsy types like to hang out and paint and throw wine parties and, talk about scholarly things, then you kind of have a good idea of the setting of this movie. Right off the bat, it turned me off because I just didn't, I had a really hard time just really sympathizing with these characters or just really understanding these characters, or even liking the characters, to be honest. And that's a big problem when you're making a haunted house movie and you want to, wish the best for the characters. Not that I wanted anybody dead, necessarily, but that, I don't know. There was just something about them that they gave off an aura of, I could care less about these characters. This movie does have a pretty amazing cast. Most of these actors, however, are supporting when it comes to their appearances. Lynn Shea is in this. Of course, Lynn Shea is famous for her role in the Insidious movies. Obviously, she's famous for everything. She's done everything. She's been in Nightmare on Elm Street. She was the weird neighbor with the dried up boobs in There's Something About Mary. She was in the Critters movies. She's awesome lady, good friend of mine, and she's in this. I had no idea she was in this. She only appears for like 1 or 2 scenes, very, very briefly. Super cameo, if anything. Speaking of super cameo, Richard Roundtree himself, the Shaft, is in this. Super cameo. He's in one scene early on, and then he comes in at the end for another, sort of quick thing. He's a part of this artist collective. There are 2 other notable actors in here that play bigger parts, but again, they're not the main characters, and that would be Terry O'Quinn, the stepfather himself, and John Locke from, for those who remember Lost on TV, he is in this one. And also David Naughton, the American Werewolf from London himself. So, they appear in here. They're very, very limited in what they do and what they offer to the movie. Terry O'Quinn plays a cop investigating mysterious murders at this artist loft. And David Naughton, I guess, the manager of this kind of art collective. It's not very clear exactly what he does besides being the landlord of the building. Speaking of mysterious murders that are happening at this building, why are they happening? They're happening because of a mirror. You see, our main character, who has the improbable goddamn name of Keys, that's his first name. You know what his last name is? Terry. So his parents, they had a baby, right? They assumed it happened. In the reality of the world, they had a baby. And they're like, hey, what a cute little baby. What should we call him? Well, Keys. Obviously. Keys. Because then when people say, oh, what a cute baby, what's his name? Keys. Oh, did you change Keys' diaper? Like, it just rolls off the tongue. And his last name is Terry. Well, here's what I'm getting at. As a writer, don't do stupid fucking shit. Name your characters like human names. This is a problem that happened in the 80s and 90s movies. They would always give characters improbable fucking names. Like John Slade or Jack Steele. Like, well, maybe Jack Steele I can believe. But Brick Strong Fast. And that would have been great, but they didn't do that. But Keys? Guys, just reverse it. Terry Keys. Okay, Terry Keys. Fine. Why is his first name fucking Keys? But I digress because I'm going to lose my shit if I continue. Keys lives in this artist collective, and it turns out that he has a secret connection to Amityville. Now here is where credibility is stretched. While at a coffee shop with an Asian friend of his, who I'm pretty sure was the Asian girl that Rambo fell in love with in Rambo Part 2, he sees a bum across the street, and he's a photographer, so he takes a picture of the bum, And then he walks over and he says, hey, I'm going to make money off that picture I took of you, bum. And the bum says, oh, good for you. And then he gives the bum some money. He's like, hey, no, here you go. Here's a couple bucks for whatever. Buy yourself some whiskey or chili or whatever the hell bums eat. And then the bum says, oh, hold on, let me give you something. And the bum gives him a haunted mirror. Now, this mirror is from Amityville, but essentially what we're learning is this mirror was in the home of a family, a quaint family, 2 kids, technically 3 kids, one grown, a mother and a father, kind of a happy family. This mirror looks like a fucking ghoul's mirror, like something Stephen King would have, in his private bathroom. Why in the hell would a quiet, loving, kind of quaint family have this creepy ass mirror? I think they over designed it a bit too much, and just sort of it just got goofy to the point like just have a normal mirror. That would be creepier than this gothic demon encrusted mirror. Sorry, I have a lot of problems with this movie, and I promise not to go off track again. The mirror sucks. This hobo gives Keys the mirror, and he takes the mirror back to his loft, and the mirror is haunted by some kind of zombie demon, and then it starts, acting out on everybody. It makes his Asian friend, Suki, sort of like lose her mind and paint demon paintings and go sexually uninhibited, which is, leads to a really fun nude scene. And then that's kind of it. Lights flicker here and there. A couple of weird things happen, but the ghosty stuff is really kind of kept to a minimum, which is a shame because the movie gets really boring because these characters are not interesting. Soon, Keys is called to a morgue to identify the body of the homeless man. He doesn't know why, but apparently the homeless man had his name and address in his pocket. Now, of course, Keys doesn't know the dude. He says, I don't fucking know this guy. I don't know what he is or who he is to me or why he has my address. But he looks into it, and it turns out, that's his dad. His dad was a fucking maniac who killed his family at the Amityville house and went to a mental hospital. And I guess at some point between all that, he got married and knocked up a lady. And then Keys was born? Look, that is stupid as hell. Number one, if you're trying to keep with the continuity of the Amityville house, there has only been one slaughter at the house, and it is a true case. It's basically the basis for Amityville 2. That is the DeFeo murders. That is essentially what happens in this movie. The son went crazy one night and killed his entire family with a shotgun or a rifle, I believe, in real life. Regardless, that really happened. That's part of the canon of Amityville. Now, you're telling me that this fucking mirror comes from this fucking house, and you're doing the exact same DeFeo murders, but you're changing the name of the fucking guy who did it. In the movie, it's called Bronner. His name is Frank Bronner. I don't know why they changed it, but essentially it's DeFeo, what's his name? Ronald DeFeo's son. This didn't happen in real life, by the way. Ronald DeFeo's son is now an artist in some kind of weird art collective loft bullshitty place in California. So, already I'm like, fuck you, movie. You're taking a real story and you're changing the names just to, I guess, protect the innocent away from this trash. And you are essentially, rewriting the canon on Amityville. No, sorry, can't do that. I would forget the movie if it was good, but it's not. It's very slow, very plotting, really uninteresting. The characters are lame, milquetoast, vanilla characters that no one can give two shits about. Even David Naughton, who is the actor with the most charisma, has nothing to do in this movie. Richard Roundtree should have had some ghostly activity going on around him. He could have kicked some ass. He doesn't. He does not. As a matter of fact, the finale of the movie is pretty lackluster, almost in keeping with what happens with Amityville 4, The Evil Escapes, where they get rid of the item in such a simple, kind of goofy way. Like, seriously? That's all you had to do? That's all you had to do? God damn, that sucks. Simply put, I don't want to belabor the point, but Amityville, A New Generation is terrible. I didn't like it. It is a lot better than Part 4, Evil Escapes, because at least this has some teeth. It's got some nudity. It's got some blood. But overall, it's really boring, and I didn't like the characters. So I'm going to go with a similar rating to Part 4, but for different reasons. This gets 2 stars for me on Master of Chaos Theater. I wish I liked this. I really wish I liked this. Funny enough, the DP on this movie, believe it or not, is the guy who will go on to shoot The Dark Fucking Knight. Yes, Wally Pfister will go on to work with Nolan multiple times, so you'll get sort of a proto version of of a Nolan movie here, technically. If you're interested in picking up this disc, it has a commentary track with the director and a solo interview with the director on camera and an interview with a producer as well. But I wouldn't suggest you pick it up. It is not a good movie. Well, that'll do it for me, pal. This has been your friendly neighborhood Master Chaos. If you're new here, please consider subscribing. If you do, you'll see me tomorrow. Master Chaos comes at you daily, sometimes twice daily with a Master Chaos Theater episode. Okay, pal, it's time to close the theater down. I've got to pull the curtain shut here on the silver screen. Until we meet again, I wish you a very pleasant good day, good evening, or good night, wherever you are. And remember, I have been your friendly neighborhood Master Chaos, and you have been entertained.